bringing in talented people and then stepping back and trusting them to do what he hired them to do. He was not a micromanager. He really appreciated people's talents, and sometimes he was good at kind of chucking you off the deep end. And he knew you could swim, but you hadn't quite figured that out yet. That was kind of where the situation was with me and Red. It's like, wait a minute!
And there was actual swimming involved.
Yes, and there was actual swimming involved. And but that was so wonderful. He was my experience. He was a very calm and inspiring person, and he just had so much fun puppeteering. Even if he was busy with all the stress and demands of producing and directing, when he got a chance to jump in and perform a puppet, and I saw this a lot on Fraggle Rock, by convincing John or Candace, he was just like giddy, just finding just things to have fun with, and he always had that joy the whole time I was working with him.
That's wonderful. And we should probably point out that Fraggle Rock is back on HBO, where it started.
Yes.
Shows,
yes.
Has anybody seen Fraggle Rock on HBO? And it's just a wonderful show. And I think that as I look at Fraggle Rock clips when we prepare our things, and when I see the characters up there, I'm reminded of people like Jerry Jewell and Jocelyn Stevenson. And we saw Michael Frith and Kathy Mullen were here at the preview last night. And it's just, it really was such a magical show. I'm in touch with Larry Merkin all the time, the producer. And it was such a wonderful group of people that came together to produce it. And this was your first sort of big TV show, on, where you were a key core character.
Yes,
What was that experience going to Toronto and creating Red from the ground up and being part of what has become a really beloved show?
Well, it was. It took me a while to really kind of get up to speed, but from the start, even though I was one of the newest and youngest performers in the group, they treated me totally as an equal, and of course, doing something that important, there's a lot of personal responsibility. They didn't really have people shepherding you around and managing you. Is like, okay, Jim has hired you to do this job. You gotta, learn your script, work on your character, develop things, show up at the studio on time, and be very, responsible and self-directed. But with a wonderful opportunity like that, and wonderful shows and characters, it was a joy always to go to work and perform those amazing stories with all those amazing people. So I just ate it up. I loved it.
Well, I think it's wonderful, because it was funny, because I started it at Henson as an intern in 1987, just when Fraggle Rock was wrapping.
Yes.
And they always told me, there's an old saying, the golden age of everything is always 6 months before you get there. And that's what I felt, because I was coming in and everybody was saying wonderful things about Fraggle Rock, and we were seeing all this stuff, and we were hearing about the wrap party and all of that, and I didn't get to be a part of that. But I did get to write some Fraggle Rock radio shows and stuff later on, but that was years later. And the puppets really play well on radio. It's surprising. So I think, let's talk about this movie that we're going to introduce.
Yes.
It is the Muppet movie, and they call it the Muppet movie because it's a movie with Muppets.
Yes.
And it's the first movie with Muppets. And I remember when it came out, I was a kid. My brother worked at a movie theater, so I could go to the movies and see the same movie every day, over and over, and this was one of those. And it's really special. Who here hasn't seen it? Haven't seen a Muppet movie? Okay, we're not. Is that your dad, Nathaniel? No, that's not Nathaniel.
It's something maybe not everybody has seen, unless you did see it in the exhibit. There is, in the exhibit, the film test they did before the Muppet movie to kind of show the Muppets would work outside in the real world.
Yeah, up to that point, the Muppets were always inside in a television studio. So make a point of seeing it upstairs, the Super 8 film that the director, Jim Frawley, who also directed The Monkees and a lot of other cool TV shows.
He did The Monkees.
He directed the pilot for and he did Ally McBeal much later on. If you have seen the disaster parody, The Big Bus, Jim Frawley directed that as well. So he went out in the countryside in England and did this little Super 8 film test, so that's running upstairs. And that convinced them that they could take the characters outside of the studio. So you're going to see lots of guest stars. many of whom a lot of you won't recognize.
Yes.
So you can whisper, that's Carol Kane. That's right. Bob Hope, he was big. He was famous.
Carol Kane, she's in the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt now,
but you'll see a lot of great star cameos, and of course the Muppets themselves, and great human performances by Charles Durning and Austin Pendleton.
Yes.
When did you remember seeing it for the first time?
I did. So I saw this. I was on a double date with my sister. She was trying to get me dating some guy, and I was like, okay, whatever. I'm watching the Muppets. and that's all I remember. I was just watching the Muppets. So
well, there may be someone here on a double date with just that same situation. Anyone here on a double date?
Yeah, it was just so wonderful seeing them out in the world, how they interacted with the environments and with the people, and just how well it worked. And you didn't question it. You didn't question them, driving cars and getting up to all kinds of fun. And just the jokes are still so fun. Now I have a special little experience tied in with this. So I didn't work on this movie, but a few years ago I worked just a few days on the first new Muppet movie.
The Jason Segel.
The Jason Segel one, and so I helped shoot some scenes in the car lot. That's the same car lot that Milton Berle used in this movie, and I was just totally geeking out. I was like, oh my god!
Was it still a car lot? Or did they have to recreate?
They decorated it as a car lot. I don't know if it still was an actual.
I recognize it looked the same.
Yeah, and it was like, oh my god! So that was even though I didn't get to be in the first movie, but being able to visit it through that work. 30 years later was
We
fun.
should point out that while James Frawley was the director, Jim Henson's mark is all over this movie.
Oh yes.
He was really the visionary, the creative, it says produced by Jim Henson, but it was his vision for how this film would come about. And he was the one who brought in Paul Williams and Kenny Asher to do the music. Oh. And Paul and Kenny are wonderful people, and Paul is so proud of this Henson thing. He wishes he could be here this whole weekend, but he doesn't. He travels to New York regularly because he's president of ASCAP. So he'll be here probably to see the exhibit at some point when he's in town.
Nice.
But the sweetest guys in the world, and they did a score here. Rainbow Connection has become one of the most famous songs in the world. It lost the Academy Award to the song from Norma Ray, I believe. Can anybody sing the song from Norma Ray? That is my point exactly. Means the Oscars don't mean anything. So I think that, do we have anything else to say about the Muppet movie?
Well, now, along with this being the first time the Muppets shooting out in the real world, it did mean the puppeteers for a lot of the shots. They didn't have sets that were built up like the sets on the Muppet Show where the puppeteers could perform like this. There were a few special sets arranged like that, but other times they were on little trolleys laying down on the ground, performing while the camera framed out the puppeteers. And at times, I think, in the western town, they actually dug trenches in the ground so the puppeteers could stand and better perform the characters. They couldn't walk too much, but they had to come up with new ways to get the performing to work. But again, it's seamless, and you don't really
and there was one unfortunate home video release where you could see all of the holes in the puppeteers.
If they
took the masking off of the...
the raw image would have shown a lot.
For those of you who are film technical people, the Muppet movie was not shot anamorphic, as they say. It was shot full frame, and then it was matted to a widescreen presentation. So back in the day, they said, oh, we're going to put it on home video, it's 4:3, let's just take off the masking, because that way people will see more image instead of dropping it down to a smaller frame.
Yep.
But what happens when you take off all the masking?
You see the magic behind the curtain, the magic below the curtain.
I think if you go on eBay, you could probably buy that home video and see, because there's some really shots in the western town where you can see everybody.
You see it all, yep.
But You won't be able to see her because this will be a nice 35 millimeter presentation of the Muppet movie. So I think we're going to ask Fred or Carolyn or whoever's up there to open the curtain, and we present the Muppet movie. Thank you so much, Karen Prell.
Thank you guys.